All right, not only is that not the sun, not possibly the sun, not possibly the natural environment, if that was the sun that's outside of the window of Starbucks as I sit at Ramona and Holt Boulevard on April 24th, 2022, it would not be over my head at Alvarado Gardens hitting the window at any vantage point, and under no circumstances would any light appear inside of this office. But I just want to speak to how it is impossible under both analyses because of the placement of the light source. It's not at both at the same time. It's also not going to be at both for the duration of the day. This is the pattern of conduct of stalking with a light source over the target individual's head, which is demonic. A public entity that is monitoring you is doing so in that specific environment, and that entity is doing so in concert with the people who surround in that specifically maintained environment. And this is also speaking to what is engineered light. Engineered light that's creeping through the crack of the door, impossible light activity, especially when the sun is outside of the window of Starbucks at Ramona and Holt Boulevard, and impossible light that's occurring while the sun is necessarily hovering over the building, hitting a glass window and supposedly creating the shape of that window. That's engineered light, number one. And also number two, it's impossible because the sun is captured outside above my head in its central presence, and where it remained, by the way, because I never came to Los Angeles, never went any more west on Holt Boulevard, got back on Omnitrans and went back toward Ontario, and at all times the entity maintained the light source over me. At no point in the day would there be any light source over Alvarado Gardens. But you also know that this isn't the sun because the entity is maintaining this light source, like I said, from 8:30 a.m. when I'm in the office, 8 a.m. here, like I said, 8 a.m., 3:30 p.m. it's right here. It's 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 5 hours from now, and it's going to jump to the opposite side of building 1810, not the sun. All right, the ongoing analysis reminding you about what the entity did with the light source on April 24, 2022 is speaking to the pattern of conduct. All right, it's impossible with what the entity is doing here at Alvarado Gardens. It's also impossible with what the entity was doing when I was nowhere near Los Angeles. All right, and that's the profound nature of what is documenting an entity that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is imprudent to suggest that the natural environment is as asinine as the practice is, but all you have to do is document it. All right, and also while the entity is engaging in this, while it's remaining through the window of Starbucks, for example, and remaining over building 1810 over my head, there's no light that would ever appear inside of my apartment. That goes without saying, but you're looking at what the entity is doing. This is capturing, this is documenting, this is prosecuting the sex offender that are the people of the state, because they're engaging in monitoring you in a private space. They're engaged in ceaseless criminal surveillance. They're engaged in molestation of your person while you're physically indisposed as well. They're engaged in surveillance while you're engaged in personal and private activity. Any and everything that's underway inside of your private space is a matter of public information amongst this entity that's engaged in that very sick and demented and sexually perverted criminal system, right, while they're targeting an American citizen and, in other words, bullying them all together in what's supposed to be some secret system, and it's not secret anymore. All right, so the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. So I just wanted to show you also, it's not just the placement of that light source that's impossible and not occurring at the same time. It's also speaking to what's the impossible placement, another angle of analysis of what is impossible light activity. None of this would happen even if that was the sun, but also since the sun is outside of the window of Ramona and Holt Boulevard, the Starbucks, you have what is never going to occur under that circumstance either. And that's, again, just one example. This is where the entity is group stalking with the police. All right, and this is speaking to the prosecution of the people of the state. P.O.C.